Richie, on this side. He cannot make it.
Okay.
No. Robert in the front. This is it.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 21st day of January 2020. This is the Municipal Caucus at a 4 p.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 4:07 p.m. May I have a roll call for the commencement of this caucus? Councilperson Ridley.
Here.
Councilperson Prinzeri.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano.
I think I'm here.
Councilperson Young.
Here.
Councilperson Solomon is not here. Councilperson Robinson's not here. Navarro's not here. Councilperson Rivera. Here. And Council President Waterman.
Here.
So we have 6 council members present at 4:07 p.m. We are in total compliance with the Sunshine Law. This was disseminated on Thursday. The agenda was disseminated on Thursday, January 16th, 2020 at 4 p.m. to the mayor, city council, business administrator, and the Jersey City Reporter and the Jersey Journal, so I can certify to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. And I'm going to turn it over to Council President Waterman.
Well, first of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Marlene for her service that she gave for the council for the 2 years. So, Marlene, you may not be here, but you will see this on the air. We want to thank you and we appreciate your service. And not only that, we want to welcome Desiree, who is our new council administrator. All right? Okay, let's take it. Carmen, you're up first. 10:18.
Added that resolution last minute.
Right.
Digital side, Morse.
So I'm gonna do both.
So Carmen's here right now first for resolution 1018.
Yep.
That's a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City to amend the City Council Resolution 15-576 that authorized Affordable Housing Trust Fund agreement with Morris Canal Redevelopment Area Community Development Corporation for 408-420 Community Core Avenue for additional pre-development funds.
What is it, 1018?
1018.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Well, Michael, look
Yeah, I have a
for
question.
his,
Yep.
This is a very uncomfortable situation we're going to face there.
Okay.
Okay, first thing, so 2015. So in other words, almost now, going to 4 years, we gave the $100,000.
Correct.
This $100,000, what we pay for the $100,000?
So if you can recall, there was, we gave pre-development dollars, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Review Committee gave pre-development dollars to this project to help draw out the conception of this project.
I'm sorry, what section?
The conception, the design of the project.
Yes, okay.
And so the developer came back to the committee after she went through the approvals of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund for an additional $100,000 to help complete the project with paying some environmentals, architectural, design, and other concepts. And
So my question is very simple.
Sure.
2015, we give the $100,000 probably pre-construction
Redevelopment.
redevelopment funding. But now, get the architect, all those things, take 4 years and ask $100,000?
So,
I mean, really, the time period, if they come to city council, first year or second year, ask the $100,000 for architecture, so-and-so, is understandable. But last of the large 4 years, what do they do, actually?
So what happened with this particular developer and the project is that there is a relationship between the JCRA and the developer. And so when they were trying to convey the project over to the developer, the project had CDBG dollars in there, and ultimately without going through project scope and design, there were certain obligations that needed to be met.
320 Central Avenue.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Christmas.
It's okay.
So, yeah, my tenant want to pay rent, so that's what it is. It's okay. Yeah, okay.
There was some redevelopment agreements, some items that needed to happen between the developer and the JCRA. Those items and those hurdles have been met, but also understand where the project stands now. There's like a storage tank in the property, so it still has to undergo environmental reviews, it still has to go through some other things. But I also like to keep in mind that even in our home funding projects, when we commit or when we give dollars, we are actually pre-recommending dollars and not actually going through underwriting, subsidy layering, or any of the other sorts, as that takes time to develop for the particular projects. And ultimately, HUD gives us at least 4 years for commitment. So it's not too far off with what we did in giving a project scope and design in the same deliverables. Ultimately, these are pre-development dollars, which by the Affordable Housing
I told you to shut it off, Mike.
Executive Order and Ordinance gives us up to 10% to allocate to projects. And I will say this is a nonprofit developer. This is the Morris Canal, June Jones's project, who again, she's not a large-scale developer.
Sorry.
It's still
Oh,
on.
it's more important. Grandpa's more important.
All right.
I get it.
So actually, the Councilman Richie Bongiano, grandchildren saved your life, but anyhow, let me ask you this one.
Sure.
This
Mayor, help him.
This is a $70 million project, but I see that their funding, what kind of funding source they have, right? They have a Affordable House Trust Fund of $200,000, Developer Equity $210,000, only $210,000, and the construction loan they put $700,000. Even though you add all those things, less than, I mean, just over $1 million. How $1 million is able to do the $70 million project? That $70 million project come out, actually project cost is a 2015, as I understand. So I'm not feel comfortable, you know, if somebody want to do $18 million, I mean, probably today is probably 4 or 5 years, probably 18, maybe $20 million project, and they have depend for also $20,000. And my questioning, developer equity only have $210,000, and the construction loan they commit by the bank maybe $700,000. How they able to do that? Around $1.1 million, carry on $20 million project.
I mean, ultimately,
So before you do that,
sure. What would you like?
they gotta tell us that where the rest of money will be funding for this $20 million project. I guarantee that we proved the $100,000 from, we not even have a lot of affordable trust fund now this moment. We give the $100,000, they're gonna drag in and extend the so another 5, 10 years, maybe 4 years. And if I see, last page, they supposed to provide a program description, location, and the project budget. Is a page is 438, page over 720. The project budget, they should be presented this one to this council, because we give just blank $100,000 without knowing project budget.
Okay, so you.
I mean, really, you know what I'm saying? See, it's $100,000 is not even enough to professional service for architecture, engineering course, probably more than $100,000 when you do $20 million project.
So ultimately, understand that we provide gap financing, and it is up the responsibility to the developers to get outsourced financing.
That's what I'm saying. I want to know,
You wanna know, okay.
where they will come from there.
So
They gap.
the last update meeting that we had, that they were securing their financials from New Jersey Community Capital, and so that call is to be scheduled, so I'll give
So
you
they
that
should
later.
provide to us some kind of commitment letter
Yep.
from that organization. Yes, we're willing to funding for $90 million.
Okay, you want commitment letters?
Yes, you gotta have
And
it, because
updated
we have to
budget.
see.
Okay.
Because I'm not feel comfortable $20 million with a $1.2 million, they're gonna do that, the $20 million project. It doesn't make sense at all. Okay, so, but if the capital, whatever is in New Jersey, whatever banks say, commitment letter, they're gonna provide $90 million project finance and so on, so then we feel comfortable with another $100,000. Because we give $100,000 actually, it's a grant almost, we not get money back. Zero interest, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
We get the interest for that? No, I don't
No, we
think
don't
so.
get the interest, but we do
It's a
secure,
grant.
we do secure it with a mortgage or a deed restriction on the property.
Yes.
So our investment is still always there when we're granting out
Yeah.
dollars.
If they place a bankruptcy, we're not going to get any money there yet. So.
Okay. Anybody
It
else?
survives foreclosure.
No.
So this land is owned by what? City of Jersey, redevelopment agency, or the proper
The JCRAs.
JCRA? So JCRA going to sell the land to them? What is the price then?
We'll have it, I'll give you that information.
So in other words, I want to make sure that construction, the contractor, actually, the developer equity is $210,000. The $200,000 and the land still owned by JCRA, they're gonna buy land from the JCRA, or they're gonna, we got all clear that part of it, okay?
Sure.
All right,
So you
thank
want the
very much.
developers, you want to question developer equity, you want an updated commitment letters,
Yes, yeah, or not only that,
and the budget.
yeah, budget, not only that, how they're gonna purchase the land from the JCRA, what kind of price they're gonna pay for?
Purchase price.
Yes,
Okay. All right. Anybody else have questions?
no? So my recommendation,
Sure.
the friendly recommendation, they should be withdraw till the answer till Thursday.
So you want,
We're gonna keep it on and.
Keep it on, but if you're not able to provide
I'll get
all
you
the
the
information
information. Yep.
to Wednesday with the documentation,
Get on.
Correct.
then voluntarily should withdraw, okay?
I'll get you
All
the
right,
information.
good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Comment? Oh, the add-on.
Yes, that's right.
Go ahead.
And, I'm sorry, I'm a little confused with the copy that I received. It looks like the same exact title that's on
So,
1018.
so the resolution that was presented was a programming resolution. The resolution that's being asked to be added on is the contracting resolution as well.
So in the title, we're gonna have to put contracting and then programming.
Correct.
Correct.
So the 1018 is the programming.
Correct.
The council president,
Yes, go ahead.
I can say that I heard a lot of great things about you, I can say that.
About me?
Yes, you work so hard, I know.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm so proud of you, that part of it.
Thank you, Councilman.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, true.
Heather,
Good job.
1026.
What is it?
10, Resolution 1026.
That's a
It's
lot
the
of the scattered
resolution
sites resolution.
of the City Council of the City of Jersey City authorizing the planning board to expand the boundaries of the scattered site redevelopment area and investigate whether properties identified, all in that title, I'm not going to read all of the block and lots, on the tax map of the City of Jersey City should designate as an area of redevelopment with the power condemnation pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law and JSA 40A 12A-1 exempt.
But why he did?
My name is Heather Coomer. I'm an attorney from Connell Foley, and I represent one of the property owners, property 405 Route 440. It's my surprise that this property has been included. It's located on 440. It's a little bit over an acre in the waterfront planned zoning district. And we've been in conversations, and my client has been planning the demolition and doing site plan approval since the summertime. We've met with planning. We've started the proposal for demolition of the property. Right now, it's an existing diner that's on the property. When we went to planning, we had a different proposal. They recommended us to do an as-of-right, which had to have us revise our entire sort of architectural plans, engineering plans. We're planning on to submit within a month for an as-of-right 8-story multifamily building. The scattered site redevelopment plan is meant for the rehabilitation of existing structures. It is not meant for a rehabilitation and redevelopment of existing vacant, dilapidated structures. It is not meant for a diner that's on the side of 440 that is in the midst of being developed. This is for infill development. It was supposed to be for infill development for those vacant homes that are throughout Jersey City. Because of the acreage and the size of the project, my client is very concerned and wants the property to be removed from this resolution.
I agree with you 100%.
Heather, what diner is that?
I don't, it was like now the Mexican diner. It's closed.
It's closed. Is there somebody here from,
Who was that?
Yes.
okay.
From where? Oh, no, hold on a minute.
Wait. She's here from redevelopment?
Yes, I'm here on behalf of Diana, Jeffrey, and the
Oh, okay, that's
See,
why.
you should be still on there first than
Yeah,
her.
right.
That's how we started confusing.
Right, come,
I mean, I did used to
Heather,
work for the
stand
JCRA.
up.
she's,
She's the first.
go ahead and explain.
Hi, I'm Elena Patsky. I'm here on behalf of the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency. I'm an attorney with McManaman, Scotland and Bauman. This resolution is an administrative first step under the local redevelopment and housing law, simply requesting a study of whether this property is in need of redevelopment. And this property is located near the Bayfront redevelopment area, and the JCRA was requesting study of this property to determine whether it is in need of redevelopment and could serve a redevelopment area within the city in terms of access or stormwater and other infrastructure improvements.
So this is, you mentioned today is a study area, right? Yeah, so it's not farm yet, but your case, I'd like to remove it from the
Yes.
scatter site. I agree with 100%
The
because,
fact that in the resolution
yeah.
is that it says on here that they're just, whether they're including eminent domain in here, it's making it it would be very hard for us to get site plan approval that's
Right.
necessary within our timeline. And right now, we are not in a redevelopment area. We are in the waterfront planned zoning district. And again, it's an as-of-right application. The fact that what they're describing to me is a taking of a property. Plain and simple, that's why we want it removed from the list.
Can we do that then?
Well,
Just remove the one
Wait,
item.
let her speak.
No, I'm asking her.
so I would say that this resolution simply asks the planning board to look at all of those factors. There will be a hearing conducted by the planning board to determine whether these properties are or are not in need of redevelopment, and they will make those recommendations to you at a later date. And the other part to this is that the local redevelopment and housing law requires that we state right now here up front whether the area being studied would be studied with the power of condemnation or without. And if we say that we're studying an area with the power of condemnation, that merely is, it's not saying that the property will be condemned. It's more setting forth a basis upon which the property could be condemned at a later date pursuant to all requirements and statutory obligations.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
No, just a minute.
Wait.
We have to ask you.
Go ahead.
So you come up with all the list, you ask us, this every individual address will be set aside to redevelop the study. So we, this council, has a power to ask you guys, yes, we prove them also, but this one, we're not going to prove. We have a choice to selection, not you.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you very much. So, I feel not comfortable. That person spend the hundreds and $1,000s, come up plan, present the planning board, and now you printed the scatter site to rebuild it. That's not fair. And
Okay,
especially
thank you. Go ahead.
when you put in that
Okay.
when you put in that
No, Heather, you can't go back and forth. Let James go.
Yeah, so I have a question to the chair more broadly about this.
No, you can't.
The first
I know.
question is, what does the scattered site
Right.
redevelopment plan as of today allow for?
Right.
So, and what could you build on these different properties if they're put into the plan?
It would be,
You can read the first portion.
so your question
Go
is,
ahead.
So my question is, what does the plan currently allow for? So if these sites were to be put into the plan.
Scattered, yeah.
yeah, these are properties scattered throughout the city, so depending on where they are and what is on the properties now, the scattered sites would, the redevelopment plan would specify.
So it's site by site what's allowed?
Yes.
Okay, so if these were recommended by the planning board to be put in the site, then we would have to then amend the redevelopment plan to then specifically say lot by lot we would allow to build there?
That is correct. And just so I can explain the process further, just so we're all on the same page, this resolution here today would simply send a request to the planning board saying, can you look into these
That's
properties?
That's all.
The planning board would then investigate the properties and hold a public hearing, they would be required to notify every property owner listed in the title that the hearing would be taking place. All property owners would have a right to appear before the planning board and to express their support or opposition to a designation, and then the planning board would make their own recommendations to you, the council, at which point you could accept or reject or amend.
Correct.
Okay, and can you give us a sense, why did the JCR pick these properties? So I think the ones I just looked up in my ward, they all seem vacant, but I know there are other vacant properties in my ward as well, so.
As I understand it, most of the properties are on the city's Abandoned Property Rehabilitation Act, APRA, list. So they have been identified by a task force within the city as vacant and, for lack of a better word, problem properties that could be better used in other ways. And this, by designating these properties in the scattered sites area, the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency would be able to step in and exercise their powers of redevelopment.
My colleagues who represent the other wards feel, but like my thought would be that it would make sense before advancing this for the JCRA to sit down with each of the ward council people and say,
That's the
well,
way it's supposed to be.
you know, if the goal of this is to correct some problem properties, which makes total sense, you know, I'm sure each of us has a few lists that we get calls about all the time, and the ones that, I speak for my ward, the ones on this list are ones that I know exist, but there are others I get more calls about that they're not on this list. So, you know, I don't know exactly how it was done, but I would love before, you know, obviously this advances what can be studied. So, you know, I'd like to maybe put on in my ward 3 more vacant properties that are constant nuisances that I get called about all the time.
Yeah.
You know, as a conversation before this would move forward. This is not to speak about the issue Heather raised, because that's, you know, but that's my, for my ward, that's the everything that I would.
Wait a minute, Michael. Denise.
So some of these properties have come before us before.
Right.
Preston
They have.
and Municipal Avenue, we've taken votes on these already.
Correct.
For other things and to have them added to scattered sites and so on and so forth.
Right.
But with regards to the 405 spot location, there are, we have had discussions with amongst the Bayfront Board and with MUA and requests from residents for us to look into that site for different improvements to help the traffic pattern on 440 and flooding and some other things. So that has been a discussion in the neighborhood for a while now. I don't know what the plans are that the owners have for the site, but that is something that JCRA and the neighborhood would like us to look into.
Okay. All right.
So,
So, go ahead, Jermaine.
Now, are these properties owned by, I guess, corporations or individuals? Have they been notified that, because it's a lot of them here in Warren.
Right. As I understand it, I think many of the abandoned properties are owned by banks. They were foreclosed, for example, so they are owned by business entities. They have not been notified yet, but they are required to be notified in advance within certain time periods before the planning board hearing. And they would be notified by certified mail. They would receive 2 mailings, you know, within the 2 weeks leading up to that hearing. But they won't be notified unless and until the council adopts this resolution first.
so
Hey,
I
Rich.
just want to ask you, is Second Grove included in this, all those little houses that were just built about 25 years ago?
I'm
That
sorry.
they want to condemn Second Grove?
Whoa,
Yeah.
No.
Well, they call it something else now. What do they call it now?
I don't know. You have to get the address.
So, can I-
Address. Go ahead, Michael,
Okay.
finish up.
excuse me?
Go ahead.
2016, I think there was a June 15, this city council, this body, actually approved that scattered site redevelopment plan. At the time, actually, council people had some input, you know what I'm saying? We put them at least, so now, since 2016, after we declare scattered site, before we add to more, we should get some kind of a inventory. So what we have with 2006, the scattered site redevelopment, you know, the units, and what they accomplished it, you know what I'm saying?
And what they
accomplished it, that scattered site redevelopment is supposed to be, as you see, the condemnation, city has the power to do that. So I like to see, district by district, by ward, how many was Ward D as 2016, set aside the redeveloped spot, and how many actually back to markets, you know what I'm saying? How many units under construction? Give us some inventory list first, okay? Then we can talk about it, add to more units at the set aside redevelopment plan. You understand? Because we don't even know that what we accomplished by 2016 by ordinance. And we didn't see any accomplishment yet, and they just keep adding to something with a condemnation. I think I feel not comfortable. So show us what you guys accomplished it since 2016, all right? Then you can't you do that?
Yes, so you want a ward by ward?
Yes, word by word is
Summary.
better. So every council member knows that how many set-aside units was my word and what we accomplished over the last 3 years, you know what I'm saying?
And
Then we can add more, so.
Not only that, updated list on the abandoned properties by ward, so this way here the council people, they can add too.
Yes.
If they want to know what they can add to, all right?
Instead of put your list by yourself, like your JCRA,
This way we can add.
give us a sum,
It'll give
okay?
us a chance to select too, because we do get calls on abandoned property and things like that, all right?
Okay.
Appreciate that.
So Council President, if I have recommendation, usually we pull it, withdraw, and provide information what you have, and we can talk about added and input by council peoples, add more or less, you understand?
And we're not going to pull it, because I know Denise said something with Bayfront, they discussing things, but we're going to get information. Let me see what you can give us by Thursday.
Okay.
And then we'll decide Thursday what we'll do.
Okay, and I will
Give us a
take,
list of the properties you
Right,
don't want touched.
that's what it's going
I
to
would
do.
like to speak more on this subject.
But you can't speak here, this is not like, you can't cross it direct.
No, I have more information. I wasn't able to because I was stopped, so I would like to speak on the record, please.
You can't, not now.
You need to call us individually and set up a meeting.
Right, that's what you have to do. This is not, you have to call redevelopment to set up a meeting with them.
I mean, I did sign the list for
Yeah,
me
but
to
you-
speak, and then
I
I was
thought you was for
told not to
redeveloping.
speak anymore.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I am representing a property owner that's going to be their property taken away.
Nothing
where
is
they're
being
doing-
done yet, Heather.
That
Nothing
is
being
what the
done.
plan says right now. And they're going to be literally filing plans within a month of this for an as-of-right 8-story multifamily building.
Okay.
And it's scary for me to think that anybody's property could, because what you're describing, and I respect the councilwoman's view of the Bayfront property. I
It's
really-
Thursday, right? She can speak on
Like, you can
Thursday.
speak
This
on
is-
Thursday
today
and
is
speak,
not the
Heather.
day.
Wait, she was speaking, she
Well,
was.
wait. Let me control this, please. Heather, you can come on Thursday and speak to this whole council, before we vote, if we vote, okay? That's what you can do. That's it.
Can I just finish?
No, because
It's-
this is not the forum. If it was, I would not mind, but this is not the forum.
I
and
thought
you
that
can do it.
the forum for the
No.
caucus was that's why I
No, it's
signed
only
up.
it's really for the staff, it really is. It's for the department heads, that's what we really come. And sometimes we do presentations at the end.
Okay, well, I
Okay,
would love to
that's all.
set up meetings with all of you. to
Sure,
discuss
we
this.
appreciate
Thank you.
that, thank you. So, no, because we thought she was from JCRA, that's why she spoke in the beginning. But once we found out, we don't want to open up this can of worms, thank you. Please get us the information. All right. Ryan. Oh, I didn't see the mayor. Oh, mayor, come on, I didn't see you in the corner. Come on. Do you have something?
I missed it in here.
Oh, come on now. Do you have something, mayor,
No, I was
please?
just gonna listen to the parking tax thing if you guys,
Oh, okay.
did that already or not.
No, we didn't.
We can,
We can move that because the mayor's here.
you want to come up and
Come on. Numbers there. Three what? Okay.
So that's first reading ordinance 3.7, city ordinance 20-012. It's an ordinance amending chapter 304, taxation, article 1, parking tax to impose the mass transit access parking tax as authorized by recent amendments to NJSA 40:48C6.
All right, so I just wanted to give you a little bit of a history on this and context of where this came from and the objective and if there's any specific questions. So I've been working on this with the mayor of Newark for the better part of a year. And at the tail end of the legislative process, other cities were included in this, larger than 100,000. We were looking at ways to particularly fund an objective that has been discussed on the City Council for a long time, which is a light rail station on the north side of the Holland Tunnel, close to a lot of the development there, in particular around Holland Gardens. There's been one location that has been a potential for that. There's only one location, and the reason that we were focused on that light rail was because it's a light rail station that is included in the light rail plan, but was one that was a funding obligation from the city and always kind of considered that way. When you think about the discussion around the light rail for Bayfront, that's a New Jersey Transit obligation, and they've committed to doing that. And so this is an opportunity from the city side and a responsibility from the city side. So implementing a 3.5% tax, which would put us more in line with New York City, which hasn't been adjusted for decades, would allow us to bond close to $20 million in capital, and the tax would cover the annual payment, and it would allow us to construct a light rail north of the Holland Tunnel. And so that's the objective on this. I'll point out that, as you've requested planning to do a study of that area, they are working on that. And as there's inclusionary zoning component that I think has been discussed there around affordable housing, and Holland Gardens does not have any parking options. So they rely on mass transit there. And so we hope that you're supportive. The way I believe that other municipalities have done the exemption, they've issued stickers. There was a question around that, so that if somebody shows up, they get a waiver on it immediately. Happy to explore other options. I thought that was the easiest way to do it, and that will just mail anybody who wants a sticker when you have a parking pass, or you could pick one up at the parking authority and then you wouldn't pay. Again, this is if somebody chooses to park in a New Jersey Transit parking lot, or they park at one of the larger lots downtown, largely going into New York.
Any
Mayor,
questions?
isn't there a developer that was willing to build that station for nothing?
So-
Across the city?
That has been a discussion where the developer has come forward and offered to build it for upwards of 1,000 units in a zoning change, and going from, I'm going to use approximates here because I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but it's an irregular shaped lot that is today zoned for 6 or 7 stories, and he's looking for a massive zoning change to go up to similar to the cast iron lofts, which is 23 stories, and a massive zoning change on density. And there's been a lot of feedback from both Hamilton Park area as well as the people that live behind that area up on the cliff about concerns about going very, very high with additional buildings. So for 6 years, that developer has come in with similar plans, and every time the planning department has said to them that unwilling to do these type of massive zoning changes, they keep coming back, and their solution has really been that they just change lawyers, thinking that there's going to be a different outcome. And so we say that again, and after 6 years of no progress there, we're trying to find, ulterior opportunities, other ways to solve this. We've told the developers on that site that we will pursue condemnation for the public good. That is an option for us because it will be a light rail station, and we're willing to hear them out with another reasonable proposal if there is one, and which we'll bring back to you, and maybe that in that case that these dollars will end up going elsewhere, or we'll just go to the light rail component of this. But we're trying to be reasonable there. The objective is to have mass transit that serves that area. And we're not willing to be held hostage because it's the only property that can service the light rail. The light rail, the way it traverses that area there, this is the only property on the light rail's plan where it can go. And so the developers basically tried to hold us hostage, exchange for massive zoning change, which is just unreasonable. And so, this 3.5% chance, 3.5% surcharge or tax gives us an opportunity to do it ourselves.
So, Mayor, if we charge 3.5% additional at the parking lot test, how much is revenue you expected around?
Yeah, so it's going to be somewhere between $800,000 and $1 million additional per year.
Right,
And that'll get us close to about $18 to $20 million in bonding capacity, and that's generally the cost of that property, of the construction of the light rail. So we could handle it ourselves, or the developer can come back with a reasonable option, and we're still going to be, if the developer comes back with a reasonable option, I would still urge you to pass it, because that's a long conversation, and these dollars, our tax should be competitive with the region. It should be competitive with New York. So in the case that it doesn't end up going specifically for that project, it would go into an account that can only be used for these sort of projects. So it's not like it's going to go towards the general fund at this point. It's going to go towards something similar in that way. But the really big priority and the thing we have problem funding is that light rail stop.
So it's going to go to the trust account, or it's going to be special?
Yeah, it's a
how-
dedicated account.
It's a dedicated account.
Dedicated account, right?
Yeah, you're not allowed to, you're only allowed to really use it on specific types of mass transit and pedestrian access to mass transit. So it's not something you could just take and say, we want to construct anything with it. And like I said, there is only one light rail potential stop that's not really funded, that's been on the city obligation. And it's been something that's been discussed on the city council for a long time. And so this
How
will
much
get,
is the light rail stop?
well, you'd had all sorts of different projections from New Jersey Transit versus the private developer. The private developer says that you could build it for 20 million. New Jersey Transit says if they did it, it would be more expensive. You know, look, I think that once we have control of the site, you would have opportunities and costs, and I think it would be much cheaper than the $20 million. It's not a complicated thing, but we'll cross that bridge. But this, by most accounts, will fund it.
And what was the bonding number on the, you said?
20 million, 20 million, 20 million.
So while I'm doing a study this one, I find a very interesting things one, business administration. It's a parking lot license. In 2018, we collect $580,000. But 2018, 17, we collected $580,000. But 2018, the license collection only $200,000. So almost a $360,000 license fee is down. So I think over time,
Yeah.
a lot of parking lot that complies our parking lot license renewal was so and so. So
This is on the list for the new team that's auditing things across the city, the parking lot fees and the licenses.
oh, they're already
Yeah.
doing now because
Yeah.
$306,000 we can collect probably more than $306,000
Yeah, absolutely.
out there, but we failed to collect the 2018.
Yep.
Okay, so you can
We're on
look
it.
at that side, you know what I'm saying, because
Yep.
there's a lot of money.
Okay.
Okay.
Any more questions?
I don't know if
So now
James-
another one. Yeah, go ahead.
Who's paying this tax? Is it the commuter?
Commuters. So if you park, it's going to be, it's a surcharge on commuter parking lots or New Jersey Transit parking lots. So they have a lot of, for example, a lot of lots at the end of Communipal. There'll be an added cost for those.
So it wouldn't be the owner, like New Jersey
No.
Transit wouldn't be paying it, just
No,
whoever
no,
wants it.
it's like the same way that we audit, these parking lots, it would be an additional 3.5%.
So actually, I want to just make sure that Mayor, and especially short-term parking, 3.5%, actually on the ordinance, we say that rebate for, you know what I'm saying, to get the 3.5%. I'm resident of Jersey City, if I don't get the back 3.5%, we have to apply it to City of Jersey City. So somehow this one have to be looking to, you know,
Yeah,
we can get
we're still working on how we're gonna work that out. The mayor mentioned doing a sticker on a car
Yeah.
kind of thing. I think there might be an option through Park Mobile or something like that, if we pay that way. We haven't finalized that, but we're working on
Okay,
that.
so just to make sure that they're not rebate.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as do
James,
this.
do you have any questions? This is your area.
No, I mean, I think the only thing I would just add is the two things, and one is the importance of the light rail stop. You know, it's a neighborhood that will have probably 10,000 plus people when it's all built out, and it's a transit desert, so you don't want all those people in a car, and they have to cross the Holland Tunnel. Just a personal story on that, at Grove Street Path, just out talking to people, and someone came up and asked me how they get to the St. Lucie shelter, right? And what I had to tell them was you have to walk 16 blocks north of Grove Street. Now, if you create a light rail station, you have mass transit access for people who are going to that shelter as well as any other reason, a job, a home in the neighborhood. And then I do think when you think about our discussion on inclusionary zoning, if this money, if we get to spend the city money on the infrastructure, which I think would be great, then we have an ability to, in whatever developments happen up there, get more affordable housing, which for a neighborhood with, good schools, low crime is what we want, so.
I think
I
$1
think
million.
there's good options, so that's
How
just
far
stuff I
we-
want to emphasize.
$1 million, or 1.2 million, how much we can go, but this one actually funding help the city of Jersey build up open the more station, you think so? May?
So that station is on the map. The light rail station, there's a light rail station scheduled to be there that New Jersey Transit never built.
Okay.
And this is when they constructed the light rail, so you're talking in the 1990s. And they've always said, New Jersey Transit, is we'd entertain no problem a light rail there, but we're not going to build it ourselves, right? So you have to build it. And the city has always gotten these quotes, tens of millions of dollars, and we had no funding mechanism, and there wasn't so much development there as what James has mentioned that's kind of happened in the last 4 or 5 years, right? And so this tax gives us the opportunity to have people that come to Jersey City fund essentially a light rail and give us a lot of options, right? So who knows? Maybe that developer comes back with a more reasonable opportunity for us, discussion here, and maybe you choose that we don't want to do it, we want to entertain that. It's a conversation, but I think it's important that we start taking steps to build that light rail. New shelters coming there, New Holland Gardens is coming there with at least as many units as there are there low income, right? And then you guys are talking about inclusionary zoning, and like James said, so there's really a lot of density of people that are, financially challenged, and I think mass transit is really a great solution for them.
Right.
All right, thank you. Oh, what Denise has, okay.
So, I'm going to try to throw my big friend in here. So I know that, New Jersey Transit has kind of somewhat committed to bringing the light rail across 440. So I guess they're going to handle that. If they begin to start dragging their feet, and we kind of have funded this situation, can we use some of that same funding to apply to going across 440?
So I think that it's a different conversation on cost, because the Bayfront cost, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And so putting $20 million into that project doesn't really move the needle. The state ultimately has to fund that, and they've made a commitment on that, and we should hold them to that. Whereas $20 million will likely get us a whole station built and energize a whole area. So we're always trying to find creative ways to fund these things. I think that's why we did this. But I think my personal opinion would be it would be foolish to do 5% of funding a light rail stop on Bayfront and still hope the state finishes the job versus finishing an entire thing at Holland Gardens and having something that services a lot of people. Bayfront's a big priority. You chair the committee. We're close to bringing that back to the council, and not too far from now.
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Brian? Come on. 10:32. 10:32.
Good evening, Council.
We're at 10.32. It's a resolution authorizing an award of a contract to Delta T Fans Corporation. It actually says Big Ass Fan Company for the purchase, delivery, and installation for circulation fans for Persian Field Ice Skating Rink through the Buy Board Purchasing Cooperative Program for the Department of Recreation. It's a late item on your agenda.
Good late item.
It's Persian Field.
So we've received a lot of complaints about site circulation at the ice skating rink. As you know, it's an open air pavilion type. So when they're making ice, if the temperatures are kind of unseasonably warm, there's heavy fog and condensation building up on the ice, creating an unsafe condition. So we've also received a lot of complaints during the summertime. So our best course of action is to improve the air circulation, and these fans, we've had quite success in other places in the city. And so this is what we're proposing to address that situation.
What they do with the machine, Brian?
Did we purchase a new Zamboni?
Yeah, because people are driving me crazy with the noise that machine makes at night.
Oh.
I called you how many times on it?
Not this guy.
Not this year.
I don't know anything about a Zamboni.
I call, John. We were supposed to be getting new parts for the Zamboni, people up there on Central Avenue.
I may have to defer to
Complaining. Or maybe it was John I was driving crazy.
Probably.
Probably. No, we spoke about it about a year ago. I haven't heard any complaints lately, that's all I want to know.
So actually, we spend the money to fix them.
I don't know, I've seen
Yeah,
a Zamboni in the DPW park.
Yeah, the motor has to make a noise, so we actually proved that $50,000-$60,000 to replace all the, right?
There's a belt on one of the, excuse me, there's a belt on one of the HVAC units, which in the past has just made noise. It just needs an adjustment when that happens. It's happened maybe 3 times in the last several years, probably more than a year ago since that's happened. There was a separate issue with the compressors in the ice, which you approved, and that job is in progress. There was an issue between the vendor and the manufacturer of the units, but that's between those 2 parties and they resolved that.
So, then Brian, let me ask this one. We're gonna spend the $35,000, one fan. We call the
3 fans.
3 fans?
Installed, electric, everything,
So,
as per the co-op.
so $35,000 is for the 3 fan.
Yes.
So one is, all 3 fans are skating rink?
Above the skating rink, yes.
Just to go back, you need those, it's called a big ass fan. You need that fan, in order for the ice to cure and stay together when they're using it. My concern is really not the fan. My concern is, because we need that, we need those fans, and my concern is the Zamboni. Like, I think it's like I mean, we've always had a problem with the Zamboni always breaking down, so we just wanted to make sure that this, because it makes no sense to have the fans there if the Zamboni is not working.
From my knowledge, the Zamboni that's up there is relatively new. I say relatively new, 5 years maybe. I have no complaints from anyone up there.
We're good with the ice now.
Yeah, in fact, the original one, we actually just had gone over as a viable spare, so if something does fail with the one that's up there, we can do an automatic swap with the one we have the DPW.
Because we do need the fan, council members, we definitely need the fans for the hockey rink, and if the Zamboni's okay, then, I'm
I think the noise and
If
stuff
you go
that
to
they
the
prefer to like.
Mercedes-Benz Service Center.
Because the Zamboni's just a regular engine, you're not gonna really hear that loud that, people complain about that.
It made a lot of noise the other.
And the fans, it's to be honest with you, it's like if not having them, it poses a little safety issue because the ice doesn't coagulate real fast. Like, I urge you guys to really support that ordinance on the fans.
Brian, where are we at with the fencing
Which fencing?
around the reservoir? Are you handling that?
Safety fencing or chain link fencing?
The chain link fence and the safety fence and keeping the kids out?
Well, I'm working on the ornamental fencing, but the chain link fencing, we would have to talk with DPW.
Okay, all right, thanks, Brian.
Okay?
Brian, are we, the city is?
Y'all got it.
Are we installing these fans? The city?
No, it's all part of this contract. They're running the electric, they're installing them, everything.
And so this would be, I guess, the final bill of $35,000?
Yes.
And that's for, whether or not we need breakers or anything?
It's all inclusive.
So how many years warranty claims then?
I'm sorry?
Warranty.
Warranty.
I think it varies depending on the part, but the fan motor itself is like 10, it's about 10 years. The fan. All the other parts are typical 1-year warranty.
John?
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Thanks, Brian.
Sure.
Sonia?
Sonia's home.
1014.
And 1014 is a resolution awarding the emergency contract to All American Recycling Corporation motion of mixed paper and
Cardboard.
yeah, I'm having a hard time today. Recycling items on a month-to-month basis to not to exceed 6 months for the Department of Public Works Division of Recycling. sorry. Item 1014, Resolution 20-057.
Are you also with 2019?
Yes, I am.
Why-
1019.
Why are there two?
Because All American only recycles paper and cardboard, and Sims Metal only recycles co-mingled.
Okay.
Any questions, anyone?
Thank you.
And 1019. Dinah?
So let me ask you just a quick question. Sonia?
Michael, she done left.
No, because they're moving so fast.
No, we ain't moving fast. I
Okay,
mean, we
just-
paused. Nobody said nothing.
Yeah. Let me just, very simple question. Number 14 is, what do they call, name of the company is American Recycling Corporation. And the number 19 is called Sims Metal Management Company, whatever they call.
Yes,
They have nothing, no relationship is between two companies.
absolutely not.
Because when I see that, looks like that you take one, I'll take this one, that kind of
No,
area.
depending, every recycling facility is different. Like the old recycling facility that we had before would recycle all of them. These two particular ones only concentrate on cardboard and paper, and Sims is a co-mingled facility. But there are other facilities that recycle all.
Yeah, one company, something both together.
Some of them do. There are some companies that do all.
Any reason we make a separate then?
Well, that was what was used from before I took on. So they were, before we went to these two companies, we recycled with ACF, which is Atlantic Coast Fiber, which recycled all of our recyclables. Then during the previous directorship of DPW, it switched.
So there's a directorship with DPW, whatever incinerator, they separate.
No, not incinerator, under DPW.
DPW. Then we have analyzed the cost effect, which is better separate or together because
That depends on the bid. We're in the process, the reason why we're extending this is because we're going out for RFP, and whoever bids on it, we may get a company that will take all of the recycling, paper, cardboard, and co-mingle, or we just may get a company like Sims and All American, depends on who's the lowest bid.
so this is what is how many times we extended 6 months, almost 3 times already?
No, I believe this is the second time.
Second time? Okay,
Yes.
second time. And the second time is 6 months, almost 1 year. We still not able to find that the vendors yet.
Well, there was an issue with the RFP, which you remember I was here a few caucus ago, because there was some language that was missing in the law department access to, that we had to amend, which we did, and now we're out to bid again.
Okay.
So hopefully this will be the last time that I have to come in front of you, and I'll be coming in front of you next time for us to award the bid to the proper recycling facility.
Okay, so can we give us also city council the report that when we do the separate, this is how much it will be? And when you get together, it's how much, you know?
To be honest, it's gonna be pretty much the same, but I can give that to you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Sonia, for real. Go ahead, Dinah.
So,
She's from ordinance 4.5.
Brian, too late. All the biddings over.
So Dinah is here for second reading ordinance 4.5, city ordinance 20-005. That's an ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 160 fees and charges of the municipal code, fee for short-term rental applicants. And 1023. Which is
4.5.
first we're gonna do 4.5 to 1023. Skip that. 1023 is a resolution authorizing an award of a contract to Granicus LLC, Host Compliance LLC, 1-year short-term rental compliance monitoring and associated services throughout the National Cooperative Purchasing Agreement funded by the Department of Housing, Economic Development, Commerce, Division of Housing Preservation.
Okay,
So we'll start with the second reading ordinance then.
So, council will recall that when I was here talking about the ordinance that's on the second reading agenda, 4.4, the vacant property fees, a question was raised about these fees for the short-term rentals, not the permit application fee, which is $250 a year, but there are some associated fees because there are certain documents and inspections that are required in order to get a permit number. So I can report to the council today that the fees that are required are a zoning determination. That fee is $100. That is a one-time fee. So long as the property owner remains the same, they pay the $100 and they can continue using their property as a short-term rental. They never have to apply for another zoning compliance certificate. The other fees are related to inspections that are required. One is a fire code safety status inspection, that's $150, and a property maintenance code inspection, which is $40 for the first inspection and 2 additional re-inspections if those are necessary. If there's more than one dwelling unit in the building, for example, a 3-unit building where the owner lives there and they're using 2 of the units as short-term rentals, which they're allowed to do, the fee would be $40 for the 1 unit and then an additional $10 for the other unit. Those inspection fees, the fire code inspection and the property maintenance inspection, are only required once every 3 years. So when I talk to you about the resolution that's on the agenda for tonight, this company, Host Compliance, has done a survey for us. They have found that the median short-term rental per night charge is $115. So when you consider that against these fees, it's up to the council what you want to do with these fees. But these are, as I say, the zoning is a one-time $100 fee, and the fire status and the property maintenance are once every 3 years. And, you know, there obviously, it takes time and there's costs associated with the inspections and with zoning, certifying that the property is in compliance. So, I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Can I start first?
Go ahead. We know you're going to jump in.
Yeah. Because
We waiting for you. Everybody's like, okay, Michael.
Yeah, reason is
Waiting for
that
you.
when we create ordinance, we have to always, one thing never forget, that whatever we create ordinance is impact somebody, financially or something else. Okay, so now, first things, I understand this bill is sponsored by Councilman James Sullivan. You know, people call, so he responds that people are asking. So he did a great job, nothing wrong with that. But we see that the other hand, and when you talk about government, fairness, even though we do that, they cannot, nothing in there, just empty lot, registration, put your name, management, so and so, cost they charge $250 as administration cost. That's why when we talk about the vacant lot committee, charge a minimum $250 because we issue one piece of paper cost ultimately $250. Now, this one, if we waive zoning and the fire prevention and the housing code, those 3 items cost already close to $250. So if we waive $250 registration fee plus another $250 for associated fee, if we waive that, we give to them registration actually free. In any other area, we charge for $250, but we just free for short-term rental registration. It's very unfair because when we the city council take this order past that, then we city council actually we protect certain special interest group is unacceptable. But now we look at the other way, the other side of the story. When we pass the city council pass that when you do that short-term rental, you have to the R1, R2, R3, whatever is that. But have to what are they called? The operator or property owner have to be in premises. If that's the case, any building in Jersey built before they build approved by zoning code office already. Why we need separate zoning certification? What we need already by zone R1, R2, R3. Why we need the extra certification we require current existing R1, R2 house and units. So when I look at it, I don't think we need that zoning certification. We should be waived that. Also, when your housing code enforcement, when you go out, they check the property, they already well be knows that this one tried to rent a basement, illegal. They're gonna give a ticket. No, you cannot do that. Here you go. So we don't need an unnecessary items when we ask the short-term rental people's the zoning certification. Also, fire prevention inspection. Our housing code enforcement, when they go out, they can do both. I mean, really, housing code enforcement, what is the difference between housing code enforcement and the fire prevention inspection, really? It's almost the same.
Skills.
Why would pay firemen?
I mean, really, while we keep putting...
Skill sets are different, Mike.
It's a different, but tell me...
Skills. I'll tell you, if you,
Yes,
when,
tell
when
me
you're
how
ready,
they
I'll,
difference then.
yeah, so, a few things. First of all, law department can weigh in here, but
Okay.
I don't, the ordinance, the short-term rental ordinance requires a zoning compliance certificate. It requires a fire status inspection. It requires that the building be in compliance with the housing code, that there be a housing code inspection, a property maintenance code inspection. So I don't think you can, again, law department can weigh in, especially because, and that's not what is before you now in this resolution, is not to amend the short-term rental ordinance, it's to waive the fees associated with that. So I think that the requirements are the requirements. Everybody's got to get that zoning compliance certificate. Everybody's going to have these inspections. And frankly, I think you want those, that minimum standard to be met. I think that is one of the concerns about these short-term rental properties, is that you have transient guests in there as opposed to somebody who's living there who might complain because the ceiling is leaking, let's say. If you're paying a rent every month, you're going to call my office and say, you know what, the tub from upstairs is leaking into my apartment. If you're there for the weekend, maybe you write a bad review on Airbnb, maybe you don't, but you never complain about it. So I do think that you want our inspectors to go out and make sure that these properties are meeting a certain minimal standard. What we do, the fire inspectors have a different training and a different skill set than my inspectors. Yes, can my inspectors see there's no carbon monoxide code, somebody help me out here, detector, or a smoke detector, yes, but there are requirements for fire extinguishers. Those are all the things that the fire inspection is gonna really pick up on. If it's a certain size building, they have to have a fire escape. Again, my inspectors can notice those things and can write them up, but I think you want to have, well, anyway, the ordinance requires that you have the fire inspection.
See, that's what I'm saying. If the ordinance require, I'm asking you, do you have any room to amend our ordinance what we passed the short-term rental?
Because it was,
I'm asking you.
I think because it was passed and there was a referendum, I think it's a more complicated process, but
is that right?
But I could be wrong about
There's
that.
a stipulated waiting period of 3 years, I think.
Yes, a referendum. Then we cannot even change the fee because by referendum they proved that what we passed it. So now, like a few months later, we want to try amend that the fee, actually we violating that what the purpose, the original purpose of the referendum. So this shouldn't be not in this agenda in this case.
Well, that I'm not going to speak to. I don't know. I just know what the...
So law department...
Wait a minute, she's going to speak to
yes.
it.
There was a memo written. You're not changing per se, the fees are not those fees that the ordinance proposes to change. It's not changing the ordinance that was established by referendum. What it's doing is it's really referring to a fee that comes from another section. So the sections are the housing code or whatever the other sections are, so you can sort of waive those fees because you're not changing this. It's not part and parcel of this. This doesn't say there must be a $200 fee for X.
Okay.
If it did, it would have to be. What you're saying is,
I
whoever
understand.
is subject to this,
Yeah.
you can waive it. So that's a matter of, if you want to, in terms of what you said about the departments, those are very distinct, those people have different skill sets. You can't just say, well, this person's gonna do that job, and
Okay.
this person's gonna do the other.
Okay, then that's the case. That's the case. The reason I'm gonna be, that, this one is an unfair ordinance we present this council because that we're gonna be higher. So we have to be understand, if we waive the fee for joining certification, $150, and if we waive that, fire prevention, $100, and if we waive that housing code enforced all those fees, cost probably close to $300 a waive. If we need charge that $25 registration, so think about it. We're gonna hire $155,000 consulting professional company to manage that Airbnb or short-term platform. I mean, then who's gonna pay $155,000 that management fee for third party, actually? Even though we get collected $250, I just figured out, if $155,000 divided by $250 fee, 623 units registration cost. And if we charge $20, 770 units. So in other words, this $155,000 fee come up every single year. And then what they pay fee is not even cover that cost of that running show, running the program. So to me, in other words, general taxpayer, we subsidize to people who operating short-term rental. Is that fair? That's what my question is. Is that fair? As a director, tell me, is that fair?
Well,
Go ahead, James.
yeah, that's a policy decision that you all have to make. I've laid out for you what the fees are.
Right.
That they are not annual. As I say, the zoning is until the property gets
Okay,
sold or until
yep,
there's a
fine.
violation, and the other fees are every 3 years.
But-
So,
I would just add, Councilman, I mean, I don't want to, we obviously went back and forth, and there's a
Right.
genuine difference of opinion, which is fine. But just a couple of just points to add. I mean, one is when you think about the fees, we have to remember there's the tax that's being collected. So we have the voluntary agreement with Airbnb, the 6% tax. We're working on formalizing the language so that tax applies to all platforms. So when we ask who's paying for it, we have to remember that it's not just the fee, but the tax as well. So all of this $150,000 of this fee would easily be covered from the tax. Even if the tax drops by 75% from what we got in 2018, we still have the money directly from the people doing short-term rentals through the tax that they're paying. We can do amendments, but we have to take them to the voters. So if there are things that we think that we should clean up, right? I don't think anyone wants to do any big structural changes. But if there's cleanups to the ordinance that we want to do, we can work on them, we can pass them here, and then the voters could vote to approve them in November. So we can do, so the idea on the zoning compliance, I probably tend to agree with that. I understand why we put it in, but I think it probably makes sense. So we do have that option as well. It wouldn't cost anything because it would be on the existing ballot in November. And then, I'm just going to say this once because we talked about it last time. My view on the matter is when we talked about the campaign, we are clear that the fee was $250. And so I think that we should stick to that, do it for the first year, and after a year, we'll see how many people register, we'll see how much money came in, and then if we think it does need to be adjusted, we can adjust the fees and say, look, you should be $350 for the zoning or whatever. We obviously can't change the $250 unless we go to voters. So that's just my view, and I think we've kind of got back and forth, we all know the position.
This is what we could tell them. They pay tax. They pay hotel tax, right? They pay hotel tax not paid by short-term rental runner. The hotel tax by guest. So it's nothing to do, they pay hotel tax, nothing to do with that the short-term rental host. It's guest to pay. So it costs them nothing. You know what I'm saying? You go hotel, you pay tax. The tax they collect, they have to pay the state, they pay the city of Jersey. So actually, host do not pay tax. Guest to pay tax. So even though we look at it, if we look at it, end of day, why general taxpayer, while we funding for, pay for short-term rental runners, operator, the cost while we have to pick up the general public. In the meantime, people register vacant lot, They have to pay nothing to do, and they pay $250. I mean, they not even have a regular inspection, they don't even need the joining sponsor, but they have to pay $250 registration. And the guy who do sidewalk sale, 3 days of sidewalk will pay $100, 3 days. They not go that far. It 2 foot from their property line, putting their merchandise, in 3 days they pay almost $100 a fee. But meantime, we give them break for people running the business every day, every week, 365 days. We feel sorry to them, waive that their $250 registration fee. Is that fair? I mean, really. And in the meantime, the other one, guy who did the sidewalks there, we don't have to hire the third party to check that. But this one, we're going to hire the other farm, the other party company, come out, look at it, manage the short-term rental units, and we pay $155,000 a year.
I mean, it sounds like we should lower the fee for the sidewalk permits. It's an expensive.
That's what I'm saying.
I
That's what I'm saying. But this is what it is. What they say is that today's city of Jersey, any department actually do certain registration required those things because of software and the manpower. They have to charge a minimum $250.
But here's the thing.
Go ahead.
What is it?
Let me have another, go ahead.
This is more of a comment than a question. To this point, when we passed the ordinance, we said that the $250 was going to be the fee. So I think for the first year, we consider waiving it, take a look and see how many people register. And if we're going to be doing little cleanups, maybe what we do is we look at the renewal fee, or maybe we look at, different ways to structure some of these changes. But I think going forward, it's a little, I understand that everything costs, but it just seems a little disingenuous to say it was $250, but now it's an additional $140, $150, $160.
That's not my fault, that's your fault.
I'm not saying it's anybody's fault, Mike.
No, it's
I'm
not
saying
the fault. I'm
fair.
telling you, this is what it is.
I'm saying it's fair.
Okay,
but-
okay, so now this
No.
is what we can do.
Yeah.
Thursday's the vote. However the vote goes, that's what it'll be.
No, but
That's
we
it.
have to.
I understand you have your point, they have their point.
No, this
Now
one
we
I have to say
vote.
the one thing is that
That's it.
what we called, we're gonna waive the fee to save that your face or somebody's face.
It's not saving face, Michael, it's being fair.
Is it fair?
I would say it's
Mike,
fair,
you
yes.
call that is it fair?
We can have this conversation offline.
Right.
We don't need to waste anyone else's time going over this.
Right.
There's a fundamental disagreement, so we can talk about it afterwards.
See now, this is what is the purpose of caucus. We gotta fully discuss. So let them general public know that what we discuss. So if you say waive the fee, joining certification, and in the meantime, guy corner, that the senior get the joining department, my building, my home, can you knock it down because of that history preservation rules and regulation?
Michael.
I have to pay $100. Just get that information.
Michael, we understand what the ordinance says. Everybody around this table does. There is a disagreement with it. So that's why I said on Thursday, just cast your vote. That's all. I understand what you're saying. I understand what they're saying. There's no need for us to keep going back and forth with it. We got clear understanding of what's going on. You're not going to change their mind, and evidently they're not going to change your mind. So on Thursday is the vote, and we will vote. We're not changing each other's mind. I can see that. So that's what I'm saying. There's no need to keep going through with it. I understand it, and the public understands it too. Now it's time for us on Thursday to make a vote. We don't agree. And so now Thursday will determine how we vote. We understand it.
Oh, you understand?
Yes, we do,
Thank
for
you.
real, okay? So next one, 1023.
1023.
So,
That's the contract agreement.
Where can I start here?
23.
Yeah. So currently, enforcement of this short-term rental ordinance is dependent on self-reporting by those owners who want to be in compliance, and therefore apply for a permit that's required. Or from complaints from constituents that live near a short-term rental, usually neighbors who say, people are traipsing in and out of the building with suitcases every other weekend or making noise or whatever. So the only way to assure full compliance with the ordinance is to notify the owners of the short-term rentals, that there's this requirement to comply, to apply for a permit, and to see who's applied, and to issue summonses to those who haven't applied. Short-term rentals are very tricky. The listings are spread across 50 different websites. It is almost impossible to manually monitor these listings. The addresses in the listings are hidden. I don't know if any of you have actually used Airbnb or one of these platforms, but you normally do not get the address of the short-term rental until you actually sign a contract, or you've rented your car and they give you the directions to the house, kind of thing. So actually pinpointing the address is almost impossible. So manual compliance is, I think, sort of out of the question. It won't happen. No matter how much you increase my staff, it won't happen. We don't have the programming to do it. So this company, Host Compliance, which is part of this National Cooperative Purchasing Agreement, so we can enter a contract with them. They are the leaders in this field. They've been doing it for years. I have spoken to, they have many, many, many cities that they do this for, cities, counties. I've spoken to somebody in Nashville, I spoke to somebody in Denver, and I spoke to somebody in LA, all of whom are very, very happy with their services. The largest component of this contract with them is this address identification. So they have proprietary address identification technology that processes these ads across the different sites, looks at the actual photograph of the outside of the building, or by some means determines and then has actual human beings check, compared to the assessor's list, the actual address, and they can pinpoint the address of these short-term rentals. Now, they've done this for us in terms of their proposal to us. They located about 3,300 short-term rentals across all wards in Jersey City. There were over 4,000 listings, but those narrowed down because some are listed on more than one site to about 3,300. When I spoke to them today, they gave me a number of 3,200 actual listings that they have found. A lot of those are not going to be able to comply with the ordinance now because some of them are going to be in larger buildings and a lot of them are not owner occupied. So the other component of what the other two services that this contract that I suggest that we enter with them covers. So one is this address identification, and they will send us screenshots of the actual listings. So we'll have a dashboard, and you will all have access to this dashboard. It's got a map with 1 million dots on it. You can click on any one dot, and it will give you the different listings. The listings are date stamped so that they updated every 3 days. So they will give you the listings today. They'll give you the listings over the weekend. They'll give you the listings early next week. They will do the mobile registration. So they've taken the registration form that we have created, that I created with the Office of Innovation, and they will put that into their system. They will handle all of the registrations. They have software that will confirm whether a driver's license is actually a real driver's license. So if somebody is saying that this is their address here in Jersey City, because we know that they have to be owner occupied for the most part, they have software that will tell them whether the person's driver's license is actually a legitimate driver's license. So they will do all of that, make sure that they've checked all the boxes, make sure that they've attached all of the required documents. We will then get that permit application and do the inspections and issue the permit number. They will then compare the list that they've created of the 3,200 listings of short-term rental properties with the number of permit applications that they get. So far we have about 100 applications. So hopefully we'll get more than that, but they will send us that list And I will be able to basically scan through it and push a button and tell them, send this compliance letter that I've drafted on the city letterhead, and they send it out to all of the owners who have not registered. And it gives them a warning. This is the ordinance, you're required to register. And guess what? Here's a copy of your ad, so we know that you are using one of your units or one of your rooms as a short-term rental, and we don't have a permit application from you. So the owner now knows that they've been caught, so to speak. We give them a certain amount of time. I'm suggesting 20 days. That seems to be the standard to comply. If they don't register within 20 days, host compliance will send my second warning letter, now telling them, we really mean it, you've got to register, and if they don't, then it's on us and we have to issue the summons. But we now have the proofs, pretty much, that we need to show, first of all, we know that they haven't registered because we don't have a registration from them, and we'll have the ads that they've run. So I think it's really clear that we need these services. We can't do it without, and we could never do it for the amount of money in terms of staffing. I'm still going to need at least one staff member and maybe more, depending on how many actually register, to sort of coordinate all of this, and of course an inspector or more than one to do the inspections. But the registration and the compliance pieces are going to save us a tremendous amount of staff time. And as I say, the address identification is something that we just can't do. So
Can I ask you?
Sure.
I told you that if you receive the $250 registration fee, as a business point of view, probably business administration knows what I'm talking about. Break-even point. This software just provides service to the city of Jersey, who is registered, who is not. So, all to cover $155,000 to annual fee, if we get the new registration under the $700, the people, if they're not detected under the $700, this program worthless. We're losing money.
No. Oh, do you want me to answer you in pieces? No, because we know that there are over 3,000 that are advertising. So if only 700 register, we in a perfect world will be issuing about, help me with the math here, 2,400 summonses to court. And some of those people are going to be fined. And the minimum fine I would ask for, I mean, how many days have they been doing this? We will have the screenshots of their ads and of their reviews from people who say, I had a great stay for 7 nights. Well, guess what? You owe us a fine for those 7 nights because you didn't register and because you were operating a short-term rental in your property, and you probably can't even comply with our ordinance.
See, first things one, before you issue a $2,500 fine, or ask to show court, you should be sent a courtesy letter that in the city of New Jersey passed that the short-term rental rules and regulation 2018, but you're not compliant with the registration processing yet. So please, this is courtesy letters. We like you register to your business. If it's not, then there's the first one. Is the second, you're gonna fine so and so. If you send a letter with the proof of that they are their own business, every single people will be registered.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, I'll take my word.
And if you were right
because
about
you know
that,
what? It says a ratio. You're gonna pay $250, or you're gonna pay $2,500.
But some of them are not going to be able to register because some of them will not be able to comply. And so either they're going to continue to try and fly under the radar and get away with it, or they're going to start using those properties as regular rentals, which is, I think, what the city wants.
No.
To bring those back into the rental market. So one way or the other, as I say, I mean, this is all in a perfect world, and nobody calls out sick, and I have enough people, you know what I mean? But for sure, either either that first warning letter is going to bring in more than the 600
Great.
registrations, in which case we've more than broken even on this contract, or it's not, in which case we issue summonses and we will more than break even because we're going to have court fees and fines.
I guarantee that.
Yes.
I guarantee that probably not 100%, probably 90%. Any short-term rental operator, if they receive that, they photo their pictures and the old ad they put it in, and if you not registration, you will pay fine so much, they all do it. This is, if anybody has a business experience, they will do it. So number one. Number two, if we make a contract this one, we should be contract annual-based renewal, because as I say, to get the break-even point, if a new registration under the 600 or 700, then we start losing money. So if anybody went to MBA school knows right away, because any cost expensive to us to detect non-compliance short-term rental, the cost us find out $155,000. Then we calculating what is a break-even point to pay to new registration able to break even point to $155,000 is around the 700 new registration cost probably cover the $155,000. So every year, if the company detect less than 700 short-term rental units, then this program we start lose money. When we start lose money, and the general taxpayer continue extra subsidize that area. So what I'm saying is that try as a contract 1 year, okay? And the second year, based on 1 year's registration, we'll decide the second year's contract. So I don't want to make sure that this is not annually.
This is a 1-year contract.
One-year contract,
It's
right?
a one-year contract, and it's actually based on the number of listings that they found. So if those listings go down, then the contract price will go down as well.
Okay, so
Okay.
1-year contract, right?
Yeah,
Not on 2
that's
years.
it. Yep.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right. That's it.
Break even for the less than 700 new
Right.
registration,
Yeah.
we're losing money.
Yeah, and the number may change next year. If there's only 2,000 or 1,000 rentals compared to whatever we have this year, yeah.
So it doesn't matter how many units. Only thing is this program detect less than 700 registration, then not worth to do it, okay?
Okay, all right.
We
Anybody
losing
else?
money.
Right. James, go ahead.
Two questions. One, I think you said this, Mr. Mayor, if we go with this company, the actual system of registration will change. They'll be online, you kind of update it, register through their portal.
Right.
In their portal, so one of the complaints I received from some of the constituents was our current system, which we just had to do this Surcharge,
Right.
which we get. It was like, you have to separately email the prosecutor's office and the MUA, and sometimes they don't respond to the email, so 2 weeks later you gotta respond. Are they able to, like, okay, I entered it through their portal, and then basically prosecutor's office is notified on the back end, hey, you need to, like, confirm these people don't have outstanding charges.
That's a
And
question.
then they can check it off, so the user only submits the application, and then we do all the back end work.
Yeah, there's a way for us to do that either way. So it's either going to be through them or through what we have already, but we just haven't finished all the work.
Yeah, and the only reason why you might not want to do that, honestly, is that then they're going to be paying a fee, and supposing there is some municipal court thing out there, the applicant has already paid their $250 fee. They're not going to get that back. I think it makes sense to require that they get those first before they actually sit down and do the application. But I can ask them.
Yeah, I mean, if our guys, and I don't mean this as we're just all new, right? But I think it's fine if we ask them in one sense, but, if our guys are not responsive, we're then making it, really burdensome. If we just shoot an email and, a day later you get a response, no harm, no foul, but, I think people are saying, hey, I shoot the email, and then 2 weeks later I follow up, and then I think, so we don't have to get through that now. I just want to know if the platform allows for something. It sounds like we work on it.
I think it could.
Okay. And one other question, I can't remember what, so that's fine.
So the business of, can we change this contract instead we pay fixed cost, the $150,000 instead to do that? If the company notice the city of Jersey on compliance short-term rental runners, we pay them by case, if they bring up to like each case, we're gonna pay $50, you know what I'm saying? So every time they have here's a two uncompliant units, 10 units, so and so. Maybe we pay them $50 per unit plus $500. I think that's more cost-wise, and if you look at the taxpayer saving, much better than we just fixed amount of contract, because when you fix the contract, amount of contract, doesn't matter, even though they find only 300 units, we still pay for 700 units of that, $155,000.
Yeah,
So we gotta look into that matter,
I mean, this is the contract that they negotiated. I don't think it can be negotiated. It can't, there's a 100% guarantee. If we're not happy, anytime within the first 6 months, we can cancel and get the full money
then just
back.
run the contract 6 months.
Normally do a contract for a year.
We need it for a year.
We need it for
Yeah,
a
we need
year.
it for a year.
We need it.
But you just say that after 6 months, if we're not happy with it, we can cancel the
We
contract.
can, but I'm not anticipating that at all. Honestly, from the reviews from the people I spoke to in the other cities, everybody's very, very happy with this.
It's as I say, please, maybe they are happy because of that city don't have the Councilman Mike Leon. But Georgia City have Councilman Mike Leon, so that's what I'm saying. Maybe they're happy, but I'm not happy.
Okay,
the way set
Michael.
up the fee schedule.
Okay, Michael.
Is that fair?
She
Yes,
got it
because
for-
when I see that,
She probably got it, she got it for a year. That was the agreement.
That was the agreement.
If by any chance we're not satisfied, they're willing to let us out of the contract in
Correct.
6 months.
Correct.
That's the way it is. That's a contract. We still can get out in 6 months if we're not satisfied without breaking the contract. You have to let it, look, let's go. Go ahead.
you know what? If his contract $15,000, let it go. But when you're $155,000, we gotta think twice.
That's why 6 months will let us know, Michael, what to do.
Okay, 6 months.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it'll let us know. Come on. Go ahead, Rich.
Whatever happened to 3070 Kennedy Boulevard? Did you ever check into that?
We did. We got back. We talked to all of those people.
Has it been stopped, what they're doing?
I will talk to my, to Angela and see what the result was. But I know that we let that owner know.
I'll find out, but I haven't heard from them, so I'm hoping it's been stopped.
Yeah, I think so. That owner was told that what the super was doing, or what,
Marty?
Okay.
Yeah.
Come on, Marty. 10.8. Good evening, Marty.
10.8?
10.8. So it's resolution authorizing the purchasing agent to sell various impounded motor vehicles and a motorboat at public auction.
That motorboat, that's not the police motorboat? No. No, we have two.
Could be yours, actually.
What's sitting up in the right after the last meeting?
Go ahead, Marty.
Okay, so, we have I believe it's 101 vehicles currently up for auction. We're back here, hopefully our next caucus with an additional one. We're going to try to get back into the swing of doing at least one auction a month, providing that motor vehicles pretty much helps us with the turnaround time on the titles. But it's pretty much clear cut, no different than any of the other auctions that we've had.
Okay.
So the minimum bid price come from where? Blue Books?
Minimum bid price is pretty much what these current storage fees are.
Oh, based on storage fee, not any Blue Book value, anything like that. More like a storage fee. So that is the problem, that there's some junk car has there so many months and years. So car value really have $200 or $500, but their storage fees are $5,000. When you probably bid as a minimum is $5,000, end of the day nobody gonna purchase that. So it doesn't help the city of Georgia City. And then they're gonna take a space off, and we're gonna spend that, instead of put you in the 20 in the newspaper, we gotta put you 200. What is the benefit to have minimum bid, something in that real estate not working in the market? They have any other suggestion you can have it?
We are in a
Can we have instead of go storage fee, there any other way can we go minimum bid price?
Yeah, we're working on some ideas here. It's an issue that we've been trying to address for quite a while. This comes up many times a year.
Yeah.
We all look at this, we all say these prices are ridiculous.
Right.
and
That's
then
what I'm
we're like,
saying.
Right.
Yeah. But, we haven't finalized the plan yet on what to do next that makes sense for us. So we're definitely going to come back to the council when we have some ideas to deal with this.
Well,
But
the
for
legal
now-
department have to come up with legally.
Yeah, no, the legal department's been part of all the things that we've been discussing. We just don't have a remedy right now, so this is.
No remedy now.
This is where we are, yeah.
Because by
Hopefully
state
soon,
statute.
hopefully soon.
Okay.
But please, you know what I'm saying, because
Yeah.
when we see they just waste our time, your time, everybody's time, meantime, we waste
That's
our
the truth.
space for the keep the car.
Costs are too high.
So please come up more
Yeah.
innovative ideas.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
solve
We're
the
working
problem.
on it, trust
Okay?
me. Faster we work on it, the faster we get it accomplished.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thanks,
As long as you
Thank
work
you.
on it.
John,
Thank you.
I actually have two, but Doug is
Yeah.
here for his.
John was next.
Right, but one of them.
John was gonna- yeah,
Doug's
John-
gonna jump in for his.
Okay, so
And
he'll
I'll-
jump in. Well, who got
20 and
10,
21?
20, and
Yeah,
21?
20 is Doug's.
Okay, 20?
So it's 1020 is a resolution authorizing a month-to-month extension not to exceed 5 months, effective as of January 15, 2020, of a contract with Temco Building Maintenance to provide janitorial services for the Department of Public Works, Division of Buildings and Street Maintenance.
Good evening, Council President, Council members. This is a month-to-month extension of our existing contract for janitorial services, not to exceed 3 months. In the autumn, I don't remember particularly when, but I was here. We had an issue where we put this contract out to bid. There was a bid protest
Yeah.
based on some issues with the labor rates that were advertised. We met with the collective bargaining unit for the relevant workers. They stated to us that their contract was in negotiation and the deadline for settlement was December 31st, 2019. So we agreed that we would wait to re-advertise the contract until that contract was settled, because so much of the pricing was dependent on what labor rate the contractor was going to be paying. So basically what this is a stopgap. We've received that, as of last week, we've received the new contract rate, so we can put those into the bid documents. We can advertise that, and then we will have a new contract. So this is just a temporary stopgap renewal in order to provide the service for the city facilities until the contract can be advertised, and then we can take in the proposals and evaluate them and come back to you with a new contract.
So, can I ask? Right?
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah. We continue 5 months, 6 months. It's almost 2 times or 3 times already, right?
I'm not sure what number
Yeah,
extension
is
this
what it
is.
was, 2 times I
Yeah.
think it is. Now, my concern is that if we see compared to price, what we pay for janitor service in the since 2017 and 2019, the price increased almost 30%. So when you have like a short-term 5 months extension, sounds like to me cost more than, what we have yearly contract. Did you analyze that?
Not sure I follow you.
He's saying because the short term is costing us more, why
saying
don't we
that
get an
the-
extension,
yeah.
a longer
The reason
term?
why
But
the
I think it had to
cost
do
is
with the
higher.
contract negotiation, based
Well-
on what you were saying. The labor,
So if we go,
So-
that's what kept us.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
if you go $700,000 of 5 months contract, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I actually...
It's all, yeah, you understand, right?
Yeah, I anticipated this question. Unfortunately, I didn't hear from our fiscal officer.
Mm-hmm.
This is an extension amount that is well in excess of what we're gonna need for 3 months. Why? I mean, I don't know, I defer to the BA on that, but as you can see for 17, 18, it increased significantly, 19, well, it didn't increase significantly, but it did increase. The reason for that was we're providing services to the new City Hall Annex, which is a significant building, as well as the Apple Tree House.
Yeah, that number doesn't indicate what the cost is going to be for sure for the 5-month period. It's just to make sure that we have enough in the contracts. You don't have to keep going back to council over and over again in case we get close to some
Is
other
it
number.
3 or 5? You keep saying 3, Doug. I reckon. And
It is.
It's 5.
I misspoke. It's a 5-month extension. As I said, my intent, and I think the administration's intent, is to have this contract advertised within the month, because the specification is ready. We just needed to include the new contract labor rate.
So let me tell you, before City of Jersey, we have a lot of different offices spread the City of Jersey here and there. And because we built up the MUA building, we built the City Hall Annex building, so we put in everybody's like a 2 location now. When if I run for janitor service, it costs me much less than I spread the manpower center 10 different places. You know what I'm saying? Today, the service companies have to send the manpower 10 different locations. Today, they only send to 2 locations, let's say. So to them, cost-wise, much cost-wise low them, their cost low them today. You know what I'm saying? You understand?
Not sure I follow.
You understand? Okay, good. You're the vendor. You're the provider, janitorial service in City of Jersey City. 2016, you have to send manpower allocated 10 different locations. Because
Correct.
they're all spread out. Today, you don't have to send to 10, you can send to 2. You take care of most of them. So actually, when you run the show, I mean the business, not the show, business, to you, cost-wise, much less than 2016, because today's, you only send to 2 locations instead of 10 locations.
We sent, I mean,
the vendor-wise.
But he,
So this total contract cost have to cheaper than 2017, 18, even though they have inflation. Now, if they ask $700,000 for 5 months, that means around divide 7, like $140,000 a month, times 12, you talk about almost $1.6 million, $1.5 million. But usually we pay $1.3 million, $1.4 million. So cost is a couple of thousand more than what we do have a yearly contract. So I want you to look at it, okay? Look at it as soon as possible, find out, lower the price, and save taxpayer dollars. That's what I want to know.
That's the point of the RFP, that they're the bid, they're gonna send.
They're gonna send
pricing
it out.
back. Yeah, but just to clarify, this is not changing the budgeted number for the total for
Okay.
this service. This is just the contract amount, which we have flexibility within the annual budget to just make this contract a little higher, just because it's a temporary stopgap. We don't expect them to spend this much money. We just don't want to have to keep coming back to council.
Okay.
Just
All
in
right.
case we get closer, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our spending on this has been in line with
Yeah.
what
Okay,
our
please,
projections
okay.
were and what it's been in the years past.
But usually I get nervous is that when we city council approve the maximum so much dollars, they always spend the make sure good excuse reason to reach that amount. All right? Okay.
I understand.
John, 21.
We're always frugal. All right, thank you, council members. Have a good night.
Okay, we got John Lynch coming up with 1021. 1021 is a resolution authorizing a month-to-month extension not to exceed 3 months for a contract with Rico USA for the leasing maintenance, including all
Hurry
supplies,
up.
100 black and white copy machines effective January 1st, 2020 for various locations citywide for the Department of Public Works.
You have any? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much this is just an extension for 3 months while the Canon the copies start to get delivered. They're going to be delivered starting around the end of January. They committed to having them all installed by March. We won't be getting charged anything from Canon until after they're installed and delivered.
We're getting a new one too, right? You were here that day?
Well, everybody else is. I'm not sure about you.
You promise.
Oh, okay.
It's coming, Rich. Yes.
Well, it's
James,
competition?
go ahead.
Yeah. Michael, this is just...
Go ahead, James.
So this is a good question. Was, last time you were here to talk about this, we had asked if you had the full update in terms of how much money was spent on the private ink and how many personal computers. You have that documented?
We're actually working on that because Canon is going to give us the spreadsheet. I should have it by Thursday because we finished the full audit going building to building and everything, so we'll get that. In addition, they're going to work with us to show us cost savings because they're giving us a lower page per print. So we're going to get them, I'm getting them the information they need to give that. And as far as cartridges, we know we spent about $500,000 on them, so there'll be many personal printers returned. And from the amount returned, I believe we can probably figure out the cartridge
long
savings.
story short, we're still working on all.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of moving parts.
So what do we save dollar-wise?
We don't know yet, but it's hopefully going to be a significant number.
Yeah, I mean, just on copies
We're gonna cover
alone.
the short-term rental contract with this savings, so it's all gonna work out.
Yeah, just on copies alone, I mean, we already know there's probably at least 8 to 10 that's gonna get, we won't need to replace.
Everything's
All right,
great.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Ed? Come on, Ed. 1026
1026.
and 1031, yes.
1026.
Oh, no, 1031. He put it here.
1026, we done already.
1031.
1031,
Ed,
with
which-
resolution authorizing
Issue?
the tax
Yeah,
collector
1031, yes.
to refund outstanding 2019 pilot overpayments on 70 Hudson and 90 Hudson Street.
The resolution seeks to authorize the tax collector to return or refund the overpayment made under pilot payments. What happened here was that December 14, 2018, 70 and 90 Hudson Waterfront LLC, under the voluntary termination clause of the agreement, basically terminated their agreement. So beginning 2019, they became conventional. In the meantime, they still continue to pay their pilot bills or pilot payments. So comparing the conventional taxes to the payments that they made under pilot, they exceeded their conventional taxes by a cumulative amount of 1.5 million.
That's the 1.5 million, that is a difference of 20%. Usually lesser stage of the pilot program,
Yeah.
like 3 years before expire, they usually 2 years expire that they're, what are they called? Tax abatement, usually they say 80% of
right.
traditional tax. So in other words.
Right, but this particular one no longer applies because under that voluntary termination, technically they become conventional beginning 2019. Nevertheless, they continued to pay pilot payments. It is no longer within the scope or with the purview of the abatement agreements we had before.
So their tax abatement, they're terminating, how many years of tax abatement?
They started in the 2000, they're almost at the tail end of their 20-year abatements. I think 70 Hudson, they started 2001, basically expiring this 2021 by next year, and then 90 Hudson will be expiring this March of 2020. So basically just want to get the benefit of the 2020 conventional taxes.
They voluntarily, they broke their tax abatement contract.
Not broke. There we did.
Terminated, whatever.
Yes, terminated, yes.
They voluntarily revoked the tax abatement because they feel like what they pay annual service charge is higher than traditional tax.
That's correct.
Correct? Good. And there was a tax of 20 years.
Yes.
Then before we give them any money back, we should be, they audited their book, excess property first.
That's, yeah, we're doing that separately, yeah.
We're separate?
We have a whole.
Because I don't want to give the money back and then later on give the money. Instead to do that, we're gonna hold on till refund, till we finish our audit of your book.
We still have the mechanism basically to charge them, you know.
No, but still. we
Yeah, but
don't
still.
release nothing
Yes.
until-
So instead to give to them, then we have to write a check. Maybe we can give to them, if we excessive profit higher than our refund, then they have to pay difference. If we excessive profit and even the refund is higher, then we can give them maybe credit.
So I will say that we've had conversations with the property owners, and for accounting reasons, they would prefer to just clean up this transaction and then do that other transaction separately.
Oh, they want to separate?
Yeah, it just makes it easier for them to.
Yeah, to them. If I'm property owner, I'm going to ask the same things the way that he wants.
Yeah, I mean, either way, we're going to audit their books. So
Okay, good.
It's not, we're not targeting anyone, we're auditing all pilots.
Okay, great. Then
Thank
okay.
you. Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Hey, James, you have one you want to do before you leave, or are we good? Because we're taking from the top now.
You were ready to go from the top?
I will.
No, I don't have no one else. I have no one else.
No, she's a new tax collector.
Yeah, we have Joanne's
Which
tax. 10.6. We could, if we go from the top.
Nobody
we
have,
can just, she's
Let me
here.
go from the top. We're gonna take it from the top.
She's here.
Oh, okay, she didn't. She left out there. What is she supposed to be about?
Her appointment, tax collector, Joanne says.
Michael's got one question.
Yeah, that's Joanne says.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we're gonna
Okay,
go
tell
right
me what you're
to
speaking on, because I don't have no paper.
10.6.
10.6, the resolution ratifying the appointment of Joanne Sisk as the tax collector of the city of Jersey City.
Okay.
Which number is this?
10.6.
Okay, Ed should, okay. Go ahead, Joe, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Joanne Sisk. I have been working in the capacity of tax collector for Jersey City since August 19th. I come with 25 years' experience, retired from Bayonne. Retirement suspended by no fault of my own. So I am here working full-time.
Anyone has any questions?
Yeah, come on,
Lot.
questions.
What number is this?
Go ahead, James, start.
I think, one of the, Chris, welcome.
Thank you very much.
It was brought up a little bit with our tax assessor, but, in your office, you're obviously in charge of the abatement compliance program, and one of the things I think we're all interested in is ensuring that all the abatements, at a minimum, are following appropriate paperwork, and then more substantially, that we're getting into the paperwork they're following and making sure that they are, following the rules. And so I was wondering how you're going to approach that task, what you've done to date and what you intend to do going forward.
Okay, well, a large part of that task is going to be through this audit that we're conducting now.
Yeah.
And
We're
We-
hiring, we've hired and we're gonna hire, we're gonna extend these contracts a little bit, outside agencies to do the audits, firms that have experience auditing pilots, CPAs, that sort of thing. But when we talk about the budget for next year, we're actually gonna, come to you with a proposal to hire a couple more staff internally just to do audits 9 to 5 every day of this and other stuff, pilots included.
But in-house, as soon as I got here, the first couple of weeks, Ernie, who does the pilots in my office, I met with Ernie, and I wanted to know who hadn't sent in their financials, who had, and I had him send delinquent notices to those and demand that we get the financials in, which, according to Ernie, was very successful. So now, step 2 would be for the audit, and they have begun, I believe.
Yep.
Who's doing it?
I think we're gonna bring the contracts to extend the extension of the contracts to the next council meeting. It's, I forget the names of the companies. I'll send you. No, we didn't. We did a pilot, pun intended, contract under 6,000 or so, or 5,000, just to see how it was gonna go.
Okay.
We are liking what we're seeing so far, and so we're gonna bring full contracts to the council.
Okay, and are you guys able to, through what you do with Ernie, give to the council a set of basically like, whatever, there's 100 some odd pilots on the books? At a minimum, just who sent in their paperwork and who didn't?
Yep.
Sure.
Is that so that document you can provide us so we know?
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's great, thank you.
That's good. Go ahead,
Can we
Rich.
get a resume? I'm not,
No, it's on there, it's on there. It's on there.
attached to it was attached to the resolution.
It's attached. Oh, you don't have it?
Rich didn't get it.
Rich didn't get it, but we did get it.
It's on the online version.
Michael, you?
Yes.
Jermaine, you have
Any
any
other council
questions?
members? Yes.
Jermaine, anybody have any questions?
If I have, I'm going to start it. After? No, you go first.
No, go ahead, Michael. Go
You
ahead.
doing it first?
Go
Okay.
ahead.
I want to go home tonight.
Yes. Joanne?
Yes.
So you work since when?
Here?
Yeah.
Since August 19th
August the 19th.
of 2019.
August, so it's 4 months and almost 5 months.
Yes.
So you worked at Jersey Tax Collector Department as a division director for 5 months. What did you find out so far? What can improve the Jersey Tax Collector's Office? What is more challenge to to give us some idea because you work 5 months.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Staffing, the staff and morale of the office, because I know it seems to have been a revolving door. So that was really up there, and I believe there's been a tremendous improvement already in 4 months. We were able to replace 2 or 3 staff members. We lost about 4 or 5. We replaced them with 2 for cost savings. The tax sale, which I believe, what I'm told, took a couple of days, took us 5 hours. 5 hours complete to complete the sale. So, and the pilots are challenging, but I believe the audit is going to help me with that tremendously.
Payroll tax.
Payroll tax, oh yes, payroll tax,
Yeah.
payroll tax.
We're finally getting a good foundation.
Yes, we have someone coming in tomorrow, actually, H&L, that houses our tax system, has a payroll tax system that we're going to actually go online with tomorrow. We're going to start and they'll be able to register online, they'll be able to pay online, we'll be able to generate reports of how much money we're getting each quarter. That's very promising because that's a revenue that I believe has not been tapped as much as it should be and will be. I think that will be tremendous. That's my opinion.
Which one you say?
The payroll tax.
Payroll tax.
Yes.
Okay. So you come from the small town, the Bayonne, to the large town, and it's true.
Smaller town, yeah.
Small town, and not only that, actually, local tax system are different than Bayonne because Bayonne tax has no payroll tax. Bayonne has not much a pilot program, so we got something they don't have that. So when I look at you, actually, you don't have the experience of that pilot programs or tax abatement programs or charge annual service charge, collection and auditing. Don't have that background. Number two, payroll tax, you're not the only one. Nobody has an experience for that in Jersey City, actually only Newark. So all those things add to, so now what is your plan to the issue, and another is a lien sale. Because last time we actually interviewed one of the tax collectors about we understand very have deep knowledge about the online lien sale. So she left somehow. So now you are familiar with the online lien sale?
I am familiar with online lien sale, and it will cost the city of Jersey City about $100,000, which we could make up in advertising. But I am going to arrogantly say, no, we don't need to spend that money. My office staff handled it beautifully, and I don't see why we would spend that money if we don't have to. The staff is here, it's their job to work in paperwork and enter in the computer, and we're in pretty good shape right now, and we did a good job.
So online lien sale is not targeting for sell the lien, but also the other hand, when you do online sale, we opened our lien sale market to nationwide or the worldwide. So can we have a benefit to City of Jersey City?
I would say it would be a benefit if City of Jersey City had a problem attracting these lien holders. Jersey City does not have a problem attracting lien holders. Every single property and delinquency went on at the sale, and I believe has in history. I don't believe there's one municipal lien right now in the city, because if they don't take it, of course, the city has to take it. So if that was necessary, perhaps, but we have large investors that if you sat through the sale, it was amazing even to me, because one thing that I do have under my belt in Bayonne is they are the only municipality to ever have done a bulk levy tax sale from 1998 to present, and I'm the only one who ever did that. So I actually built that program and how it was going to work, and I tracked it, and so I do have that experience also.
So the future tax clerk's office, with your leadership, as long as you have a proper manpower, you got no problem, you think you see that. Any system you should be improved, any other things you'd like to see council support you needed? Not
right now that I could think of. I was unprepared for that question. I would love to give you a list, but honestly, right now, the business administrator has come through. I didn't, for a while I was nervous that I wasn't going to get the staff I needed, but I had to be patient. And now, as of January, we do have cashiers. We have 2 new cashiers, one from outside, one from within. And I had no assistant tax collectors. The history is there's always 2. I've been working with none. I now have one that I hired from outside. She was the tax collector in Irvington. She's now my assistant. And we also promoted within someone from my office who holds the certificate. They must hold the certificate. And I hope that's a policy that does not ever change, because you should have knowledgeable people in that position. And the person from within is going to be concentrating mostly on payroll tax.
Okay, I see.
I'm going to have her spearheading payroll tax.
Okay, now,
Thank you.
if we see that anybody's delinquency tax, nobody like the tax collector.
No,
No,
I know.
nobody. I can tell you one thing is that we hate the tax collector.
I know.
People has Walmart property, oh, tax collector, oh, God. So now, you got a tough job, we know that, but let me ask you this one. As a tax collector, if anybody delinquents tax or late payment of tax, they have today's current interest of 18%?
8 and 18. The first 1,500 is at 8%. It then jumps to 18%
18%.
over 1,500, and it does not go back down until you zero the account out.
Yeah, so 18%. Let me ask you, so that 18% charge, you think is reasonable to today's market? What do you feel like is it too high, too low?
I think it's reasonable, but I think it really, in my opinion, would mean nothing, because it's all by statute. This is all by state statute.
Yes, so there's state statute, so that. I'm asking you, when we see that the ad on the newspaper and the people owe $1,000 interest and the penalty so-and-so, actually they add to more and burden their shoulder because of 18% is high. So let me ask this one. If you, at the council, sit on this side, if you recommend it and ask the state, what is the reasonable, the maximum interest? Still you insist 18% or?
I agree with the state, the 8 and 18. I think that is reasonable. I do think it's reasonable.
Why you think it's reasonable?
Well, first of all, the obligation, we have a budget, and the budget has to be met, and that's why we have the state law that says we have to have a tax sale. Because for everything we don't collect, that would be a burden on the other taxpayers.
Yes.
So the interest we collect, that's by state statute, because the money's not coming in, but you're still paying the bills. And you have to pay the county taxes, and you have to pay those charges. And the interest that we get charged by those taxing entities. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Set up 18%. At the time, as I understand, the market interest rate 19-20%. At the time, because of that, the state set up the very high interest 18%. But today, if you go bank if you're lucky, 2% to 1%, 0.25%. So our 18%, if we compare the current market rate, very, very high. So what happened that people who invest, finance institute, who invest the money to lien sale, they are the one that actually pass the most of the benefit out of it, the high interest of the state statutes. So if we lower, actually, the property owner in Jersey, especially low income, fixed income homeowners, it will be benefit. What do you think of that idea? So lower a little bit. In the meantime,
State statute.
yes, state statute, but we can ask them statute, the way other things, we can ask the state to request that,
Well, I would guess that would be an argument for you to have at the state level, not me. And you asked me my opinion?
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, my opinion is it's more than fair. It's more than fair.
Okay, go ahead.
My understanding is looking at this in 2018 was I think we can go lower, but we can't go higher. So the state says 18 at the top, but I think in theory we could go lower if we wanted to as a city. But the danger if you go lower is
Right,
that you don't.
right. As it is in Jersey City, I can tell you that you are entitled to a 6% year-end penalty on all delinquencies over 10,000. If you just pass a resolution authorizing
Right,
it.
resolution.
I know in Bayonne, we had 6% year-end penalty since the day I started. Jersey City does not have that 6% year-end penalty. So really, that's a big break right there for delinquent property taxes for people.
Okay, I have a couple of more questions, but
Could
the
you-
Councilman Richie Bojan have to take the door, so I'm
Right.
gonna let it go.
Thank you.
What's
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank
Take
you.
it from the top.
That's it?
No, Danny didn't want it. He was playing with it. He was playing with
I know it's been very stressful down there the last couple of months, but please tell people not to hang up on anybody and be nicer on the phone to people.
Oh, that is actually,
Okay.
yeah, that,
Customer service.
that actually, it's a council which was gonna bring up the issue, but we, not only myself, I'm in Jersey 40 years involved with government, many years, what I find out, this year, we got huge complaint, first things, short of manpower, as we say.
Right.
So we understand, even I call myself, many times, nobody pick up the phone, right? I represent you too today.
Please hear them.
Yeah, and the number one.
Absolutely, you know,
Customer service
yeah,
is
absolutely, the phone,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes it will ring forever, it
Yeah.
will, but
Yeah.
if you go into the office, it's because
They're doing other
they're
things.
taking care of somebody on the phone. Because Jersey City, 53,000 line items,
Is.
and tax sale, everyone's calling,
Yeah.
so it's difficult, but as far as how they treat the taxpayers,
Correct.
yeah, that has gotten better, and I will
Okay.
work on it some more,
Thank you.
because it's unacceptable.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
okay,
you.
please.
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Okay, James.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Sure, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I apologize, I have to leave just a minute early,
Right.
we're at the top anyway,
Yes,
but
sir.
I just wanted to go through the two items that I have. So the first is 3.4. So 3.4.
That's an ordinance, you want me to read it?
Go ahead.
It's an ordinance supplementing chapter 332, vehicles and traffic, article 3, parking, standing, stopping, amending section 332-24, no parking certain hours on Washington Street and Grand Street in the vicinity of PS number 16.
So just briefly, as you guys may or may not be aware, but enrollment at PS 16 has skyrocketed. It's part of the reason why we need another school in the downtown neighborhood. And at this point, it's basically got increased by 100% in 5 years. So it got from under 400 to over 800. And so there's not enough space. So the students in pre-K3, pre-K4, and kindergarten are bused to Danforth School, Old PS 20. And because the number of students bused has increased, this year they're up to 7 buses. Even last year it was 3 buses, and they doubled the number of buses this year. And what we found is that the buses, because there's not a dedicated place for the buses to pull in, they're going to stop in the middle of the road, and that's created safety hazards. And we actually did have an incident where one of the buses was rear-ended by a car that was trying to pass them. Thankfully, no kids were injured, but obviously any type of accident involving a school bus is concerning. So we asked the traffic engineer and team to go out, and they came up with the plan before you, which would basically just have a temporary no parking zone along Washington and Grand to fit the 7 buses in, and that's just from 7:30 to 9. So it's the one block on Washington between Sussex and Grand, and then a little portion of the block on Grand, Washington going west. So that's what's before you. There might be a slight amendment to it on Thursday in terms of exactly where the buses would be, but that's what that ordinance is. So any questions? Good. All right, yeah, thanks. It was the parents and traffic was really.
The only thing that's new is the underline.
Yes, is the underline, that's right. So just basically, it's a little bit more space and then extending the hours. They did have a space for the bus, but it can only fit really 2 buses and not 7.
But I mean, I don't see the Arlington to Ivy Place, Arlington to Westerville.
This should certainly be
The north and south sides of the street, like, I don't remember that being, like a sign being there. 'Cause those are businesses there.
So.
That's right in the junction, from Arlington to, like.
Did you know about this? Did you know about this?
No, but this is saying it's
Yeah, but
already
that was
there.
already on there.
Yeah, but I don't.
You know what?
Only the stuff underlined is new.
Yeah, so I mean that stuff's been on there. So I don't know if maybe the signs out there don't reflect what's in the ordinance or not. But yeah, that stuff, obviously we didn't change.
I mean, I've never remember seeing a sign, but I'll check it.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's check it too.
And then the other, just quickly, the resolution is 10.15,
Which is a resolution, calling upon the White House and Congress to end migrant detention.
So we were asked to put this on by a coalition of groups that support immigrant rights in the state. So 10.15.
10:15.
Did you read it?
Yeah, but vote no. And the argument is basically saying that, as a city of immigrants and being the most diverse city in the country, that we should sort of speak up, and it's non-binding, but condemn what the Trump administration is doing to migrants, particularly on the border, separation of families. Hoboken passed the very same resolution last week, and at least 5 other municipalities have passed it as well. So we'd ask you to kind of consider passing that as a statement in support of immigrant communities and against some of the actions of the Trump administration.
Yeah.
Thank
We're building another school.
Just one question is that Crystal Columbus, for the veterans clinic, was it 2 increased to 4 now parking space?
So it's more than that.
More than that, right?
It's 6 on the south side and it's 2 on the north side.
Okay, so 8. Because people asking that, people use that from the house. Okay, so 6.
6 on the south side, 2 on the north side.
6 and 4, 8. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Go ahead, take it from the top.
All right, right from the top. So we have our first reading ordinances, ordinance 20-006. Any questions? Because I'll be reading these all into the record on Thursday. Item 3.2, city ordinance 20-007. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. Item 3.3, city ordinance 20-008. Hearing none. We just touched on 3.4. 3.5 is an ordinance number 20-010.
Yes, so this one is actually based on Councilman Dennis' as a recommendation. Instead of 100 down to 75. So current ordinance say 100 more units require uniform security guard, and also they can apply for exemption from the uniform security guard. We amended to actually change to 100 units down to 75 units, based on actually, what are they called, the Dennis's requirement. And also, because cost impact, so instead of uniform security guard, we change security personnel, okay? So we can protect senior, but there were no exemptions, so everybody. And this one, I spoke with Housing Authority, they seem to like okay for that part of it, okay?
Thank you, Michael.
Okay.
You're okay sometimes.
Sounds like my wife, that's what she said. All right.
Item 3.6, ordinance 20-11. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Item 3.7 we touched on earlier. On to our second reading ordinances. Item 4.1, city ordinance 20-001. Hearing none. Item 4.2, city ordinance 20-002. Item 4.3, city ordinance 20-003. Hearing none. Item 4.4, city ordinance 20-004. That's the fees. Hearing none. 4.5 we touched on earlier. We have our public comment. We have 19 speakers as we speak.
Cut it down to 2.
Okay. Any questions on petitions, communications, or office communications, or reports of records? Sorry. And the claims. So we're going to go right to the top with the resolutions. Did you want to add something?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So item 10.1 is a resolution authorizing emergency temporary appropriation. Item 10.2 is a resolution authorizing the cancellation of tax balances, lot cleaning charges, abatement charges, special improvement charges, and credits of $10 or less for the tax year 2019 and prior years. Item 10.3 is a resolution authorizing refunds due to New Jersey Tax Court appeals on various property tax accounts. Item 10.4 is a resolution authorizing the business administrator to execute a discharge of mortgage for 2045 Clendenny Avenue, Jersey City, New Jersey, also known as Block 1779, Lot 13D. Item 10.5 is a resolution authorizing the business administrator to execute a discharge of mortgage regarding the property located at 1209 Summit Avenue, Unit 409, also known as Block 897, Lot 10. 10.6 was touched on earlier. 10.7 is a resolution authorizing the execution of first license amendment between the City of Jersey City, New Jersey Transit, Grand, LHN 1, Urban Renewal LLC, for Grand LHN to use city property.
Business Administrator, can I ask this one?
Yeah.
And because it's like they have a 300 line of feet used at the right away there one, and they've set up the utility box and some kind of shade. They use our property. If we city say no for the contract, they have to take away some of their existing land, take away to build all these things. So they get some major financial benefit, use that, public space. And they only pay fee $339. Is it too low?
Well, but also they've done improvements to the sidewalk and the right of way. They put in lights, they maintain it, so we are getting a benefit.
You get the benefit out of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they did, I don't know what the construction cost to build that was, but
So they build for,
They build a sidewalk, lighting, trees, they sweep the streets, they do the salting and the plowing.
okay, all right, okay. Are streets are filthy?
Yeah, come down the road.
Not these streets.
Where?
No, this is streets, the Park
This is
Avenue.
at the Marin Light Rail Station.
Yeah, 18 Park Avenue. Okay.
Streets are filthy.
So they are maintaining, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, 10.8 was touched on earlier. 10.9 is a resolution requesting approval of the Director of Division of Local Government Services to establish a dedicated trust by rider for revolving relocation assistance. 10.10 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with Micro Systems NJ for the support of proprietary computer hardware and software systems. 10.11 is a resolution authorizing the payment of a claim submitted by Tomahawk Defense LLC for providing incident response exercise to the Department of Public Safety, Division of Police. 10.12 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract for Fujifilm North America Corporation for purchase, delivery, training, and installation of a Frontier forensic photo printer for the Department of Public Safety, Police Bureau of Criminal Investigations. 10.13 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to TMC Associates for the purchase and delivery of portable radios preparables under state contract for the Department of Public Safety funded by the Office of Emergency Management, Homeland Security, fiscal year 2019 Urban Area Security Initiative Grant. 10.14 and 15 were touched on earlier. 10.16 is a resolution amending Resolution 19-911, authorizing the submission of a 5-year plan to Hudson County Department of Health and Human Services by the Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services for funding the Jersey City Municipal Alliance to Combat Alcohol and Substance Abuse Programs adopted on December 4th, 2019. Item 10.17 is a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services to accept grant funds from Hudson County Department of Health and Human Services for the peer grouping meal program to execute a grant agreement. Items 10.18 through 10.21 were touched on earlier. 10.22 is a resolution ratifying emergency contract award to Proactive Planning Associates for incident response training course for the Department of Public Safety, Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, funded through the fiscal year 18 Urban Area Security Initiative Grant. 10.23 was touched on earlier. 10.24 is a resolution authorizing the waiver of a 20-day waiting period pursuant to NJSA 40:69A-181B for Ordinance 20-005, amending and supplementing Chapter 160 Fees and Charges of the Municipal Code. Item 10.25 is a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to accept a gift from Lee Sims Chocolates. 10.26 was touched on earlier. 10.27 is a resolution renewing professional service agreement with the Law Office of Wiener Suarez to represent Gerald McCann in the matter of Angelo Bolesky, I'm sorry if I'm butchering these last names, versus Jeremy McCann and the City of Jersey City. Excuse me. Item 10.28, resolution reauthorizing the award of professional service agreement with McCluster. You can help me on that one. And Selmy, Rosen, and Carvelli, thank you. To represent the City of Jersey City in various equal opportunity independent investigations.
How many cases they investigating now?
Pardon me?
How many cases they investigating? Because it's a,
we'd have to ask Human Resources.
yes, please, because we spend $100,000, now added to $125,000, and then in less than it's almost years, we spend $225,000. You gotta be a lot of case, you know what I'm saying? So, can't you?
I know there
Maybe
was-
we're gonna have this Thursday. We're gonna have a closed door meeting, right?
Pardon me?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
Thursday we have.
close the
final
meeting.
time.
I mean, this Thursday.
Well,
Yeah, but that's
for
for one
item.
We're only talking
Oh,
about
we
that
did the
one
one?
subject, that's correct.
Yeah, that's true.
We're gonna talk only one.
Yeah, only that one.
Oh, okay, so then, can't you give me some, approximately how many cases they have, you know?
We can ask human resources.
Yeah, it's a lot of cases, a lot of money, you know?
I know they're always busy.
Because, you know, because the reason is that, the director, if you look at it, when you pay $225,000, you know, we pay $150, so $225,000 divided 150, they're talking about 833 hours per year. So 83 hours divided by 8 hours a day, they work 104 days straight for just take care of the judge's investigation.
Right.
It's a lot of case, you know? So to me, what they charge to us, so based on my case, our city case, I tried to give some kind of adjustment, you know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, really we had that many cases. Somebody had to work 8 hours a day, 104 days, investigate somebody. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Please do me a favor.
Yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
Okay, item 1029 is a resolution renewing the professional service agreement with law firm Borzio, Broomberg, and Newman to serve as special counsel on behalf of the city of Jersey City in the payroll tax litigation. 10.30 is a resolution ratifying the award of professional service agreement with the law firm of Whipple as a Rello to represent the city of Jersey City. Jacob Hudnut, Chief Prosecutor of the City of Jersey City. Mark Bunbury, former Director of Human Resources for the City of Jersey City in a matter of Donovan Beezer versus the City of Jersey City. And items 1031 through, which will be an add-on 1033, we touched on earlier. So may I have a motion to adjourn at 6:27 p.m.? I have a motion by Councilperson Rivera, seconded by Councilperson Prinzeri. All in favor of the motion, please say aye by acclamation. We are out of here at 6:27 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're gonna leave mom.